So we are recording, and that means you can tell all your friends who missed it that they can get to this via the YouTubes later. Thank you all for being here. My name is Hayward Wagner. I'm one of your event leads for Flag Rock, the initial Flag Rock Hill Climb, presented by Summit Racing, Backroads of Appalachia, and Grassroots Motorsports. Really appreciate y'all making time this evening for us just to kind of go over some basic information about the event so that we all show up with the exact same level of confusion. That's really our goal here. I want to introduce a few people on the call. First and foremost, Rob Leslie of the Blue Ridge region. Rob has been our man on the ground in the Norton area, working with the local folks, making sure that we have everything squared away, set up, and ready to go, and has done a fantastic job of helping us get all the planning knocked out for this. Jim Mason, also from Blue Ridge region. Jim has been the some people say silly little detail officer. He has been the person that has taken care of all the note-taking, letter writing, scribing, all the things that the city has asked us to put in writing that we've needed to do. Jim has been taking care of all that for us, all the stuff that Rob and I are famously bad at. And then Brad Gates is our other event lead. And Brad has really focused his attention on this one on being handsome. That's really his strength, and he has leaned into it pretty hard on this one. Yep. We all see it. But Brad is our really kind of at the genesis of all of this. Brad has worked directly with Backroads of Appalachia, who helps us get into these venues, into these events, and we really appreciate the work of Brad and that whole group. I don't see everybody on the call. Is Chris Sturgill on the call? I don't know if we have Chris or not. Chris is another member of the Backroads board and has really been instrumental in this event, and so we owe him a whole lot of credit. And then I did see that Todd Legal, at a minimum, from the city of Norton, is here with us this evening. Todd is our primary liaison to the city. He's also the chief of emergency services. I think he might also be the fire chief. His business card is about the size of a standard notebook, but Todd has been fantastic to work with, as has the entire city of Norton, and helping us get ready for this. Last for introductions at the moment, certainly not least, is Kathy Barnes. Kathy is one of our competition directors for the event. Kathy will be at the top of the hill. Brad will be at the bottom of the hill. They'll be your two competition directors. And so if you have any issues, you don't like your time, you felt like something didn't go the way you wanted it to, you have questions, Brad and Kathy are going to be kind of our go-to folks there. So that is the core planning team. When we get into execution, there's a couple other folks that you should probably have awareness of. If you're a course marshal, Don Drennan is our chief of course. Don has been chief of course for almost as many hill climbs as he's been to. And then we have Eric Moan, who's going to be our chief of paddock, staging, and start. So Eric's job is to get cars to the start line. Don's job is to get them to the top of the hill. And we have Kevin Greer, who's going to figure out exactly how long it takes from the time that we give them the go to the time we give them the stop. So I could probably introduce everybody on the call, but I'm going to kind of cut there and move to some more administrative stuff in the event, and share some screens so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Most of what I'm going to share, I think maybe everything that I'm going to share, you guys have seen if you're in the Facebook group. I believe it was also emailed, but I just wanted to go over it with everybody so that if folks had specific questions or concerns about any of this stuff, we had an opportunity to talk about it. So first and foremost, I believe you can see my mouse on the screen. Nod if that's accurate. Maybe. Kathy's nodding. So first and foremost, to get to Norton, Virginia, to get to where we're going to be, I highly recommend finding the Norton Expo Center in your navigation system. That's going to bring you right into downtown Norton, right where we are having our primary paddock area. For paddock on Friday, this area in the green is where our music is going to be set up. We're going to have a band, stage, a band, some Rob, do you want to talk a little bit about who's coming to play? Do you know anything about it? Oh, I should have told him he was on mute. There you go.
Yes, give me just a second. There are 2 bands that are going to be there.
So we'll come back to that in just a second. So our event flow is, this is going to be our primary pre-stage area here in the center of this parking lot. If your vehicle does not have special needs, you're going to stage up here. And when I say your vehicle doesn't have special needs, I mean, if you could go to the grocery store and buy a box of cereal with it and come home and make it okay, you grid here. If your vehicle does have special needs, you grid right over here. And so what we'll do is we'll put our police escort vehicle at the front of the pre-stage, and we will roll our special needs vehicles right behind them, and then we'll let our less special needs vehicles follow up from there. That's going to be our event flow to get to the paddock, or to get to the start line, the staging area. I'm sorry. We're going to come all the way down Main Street, Norton, and take the, I believe it is a right-hand turn into the back of the paddock at the end of each heat. And that way our escort vehicle can come down here, dump over in their paddock spaces, stage back up, pick up the special needs cars and the less special needs cars, and take them up to the staging lane. Am I making sense so far? Awesome. So this nice long black arrow here denotes that this is a one-way street while we are in Norton. So you'll come into paddock down here, come along here, and we have the pull-in paddock spaces. So if you are an enclosed trailer of 32 feet or less, or you don't need your trailer, you'll paddock right along here in the pull-in spaces. There'll be room for a support vehicle, your competition car, your trailer. The only thing that's kind of unfortunate is you're probably going to need to back the trailer in. So if you want to park the car in the trailer overnight, we're going to have to put you somewhere else. But we're going to try to, these are going to be pull in only. They're not going to be parallel or perpendicular spaces parallel to the parking spaces. And because we're using one of the drive lanes, you got about 32 feet from tongue to tail to work with there. If you need more than that, we have the pull through paddock spaces over here. And then we're going to try to put most of our camping folks who are camping in this area right in here. You are allowed, how do I say this? You are not required to leave the paddock at night. Everybody with me? It's not a camping area, but you're not required to leave it at night. There is camping up on top of the hill. There are not formal RV hookups down here anywhere. But if you end up working on your car a little bit later than you plan to, and you just happen to fall asleep there, nobody is going to be concerned about that. So I keep jumping ahead on accident. Any questions so far? Cool. I'm going to keep going. This white building right here is our wonderful, lovely, friendly local pizza joint. And they are helping us out with feeding our workers on Saturday night. They're available during the day to go in and grab a pizza. There's also, there is a winery that has wonderful food over here. But this pizza place is particularly significant because they are landlocked inside of our paddock, and part of their business is delivering pizza. So we're going to want to make sure that we are being courteous to the delivery drivers, to the employees there, making sure they can get in and out of our paddock without too much concern. This building here is a bank. We might have some parking around it, but by and large, this area here, available parking. If you have friends, family visiting, that sort of thing, that's where they would park. And everything here in the blue is your paddock area. Everybody good with this one? It's going to get way more exciting from here. This is our transit to the event. This blue box here is what we were just looking at. We're going to run down Main Street. We're going to come up over the bridge over the railroad tracks. There is a bit of a dip there, and I would recommend that if you're a driver driving something extremely low, go and take a look at that just to make sure that you know what you're sizing up. And then we're going to head on up to the start area. So this is going under the interstate here, coming under the interstate. This is our road closure. Anybody who has an FCCA wristband can get through the road closure at any time. You will not be held there. So if you are out of sequence, if you're trying to catch up, if you need to get back up, you can do that couple of landmarks here I just want to make sure everyone is super aware of. Legion Park is a really nice little shelter park area. There's a walking path from there to essentially our start line area. We're going to focus Legion Park on 2 driver cars. And so instead of a 2 driver car having to go all the way back, switch drivers and come all the way, we're just going to stop them at Legion Park. So if you're a 2 driver team, you can put your support vehicle there. You can just turn the car around there, get right back into line. You don't have to go all the way back. There may be more room in Legion Park than just for that. We'll see. The other option is that we have the water plant road right here at the very bottom of the venue. So water plant road, if you just don't want to go back to paddock, if your car is good, you're good, everything's good, you can park there, wait for your next heat, walk up to the start line, watch a few runs, that sort of thing. If you have a mechanical issue and we bring you down the hill, your car is going to be at water plant road. So you can go to paddock, get your support vehicle, get your trailer, get whatever you need. We're not taking disabled vehicles back to paddock. We're going to take them to water plant road, and then you can figure out how to get it to paddock or how to get the tools that you need to get to you. So that's going to be kind of our I guess boneyard is the best way to put it. Just uphill of that is staging, and then up to our start line. So any questions on the transit? It's probably the most challenging part of this event. Awesome. Let's see. So I'm going to stop screen share there. So let me go over a couple of things in regard to all of that. Excuse me. One thing we remembered to say at the first Pine Mountain and forgot to say at the second is if you have a choice between an 18-foot open trailer and a 42-foot enclosed trailer, you're probably better off bringing the 18-foot open trailer. There is a lot of parking available in downtown. So if you need a big trailer, we can certainly find room for you. There's more room than is shown on the map. But the more compact you can make yourself in your paddock space, the more comfortable it's going to be for everyone. There is a large gravel parking area at the top of the hill. I would say conservatively, it would fit maybe 100 or so cars if we had to cram them all in there. It's gravel, and so we will not be using it for the event officially, but it is where we will have our worker meetings. So our worker meeting on Saturday and Sunday morning will be at the gravel at the top. And it is another place where if you have a disabled vehicle, we may put it. So if you get to the parking area in your car, for whatever reason, can't make it down, it'll go into the gravel area there. Let's see. Speaking of meetings, we'll have a driver's meeting each morning at the Expo Center. Norton, where are we? Norton, Virginia has a wonderful Expo Center adjacent to our paddock. They're making it available to us for the entirety of the event. We're going to have our worker meeting in there on Saturday. I'm sorry, worker dinner on Saturday evening. Our driver meetings will be there on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. We're able to do things like charge our radios there and keep equipment dry and whatnot. So we're really, really lucky to have that and really appreciate it. And then we will have probably the hardest working team in this event is going to be the paddock staging and start team. I'll be sending out team assignments either this evening or tomorrow. I shared them with the leadership group this afternoon, and to make sure we're all have what we need there. But that group will also have a morning meeting, which I anticipate will probably also be at the Expo Center right before we get started. So any questions on anything we've covered so far? Am I on mute? All right. Rob, do you want to talk a little bit about Friday night?
Yeah, Friday night from 6 to 9, the city of Norton is throwing us a bash. And what they're going to have 2 bands there. If I can find the screen I was on just a second ago, will be good. We'll have 2 bands. One of them is Railway Express, and the other is Cash Crop. and I believe they'll start playing around 6 p.m. They are going to have a beer garden. Of course, we're going to line our cars up on the main road there, where they're going to block a total of a block off them, if I'm not mistaken. We'll be able to show our cars off, and we'll be able to our drivers. It would be nice if they could talk to the visitors. But it should be a good time. Norton's going all out for this. Thanks to them. They've really knocked it out of the park with everything they're doing for us. So, but it should be an enjoyable evening.
So we'd really like to have as many folks there as possible on Friday evening. We don't have a Friday evening social per se. We're doing the party there in downtown, and then Saturday night we are providing beverages and pizza for workers. And if drivers would like to come and thank the workers and have a beverage and hang out, you're more than welcome to. But we're not doing kind of an all hands Saturday night party like we did in Pineville, largely because we want to make sure that we're being really respectful and supportive of the local businesses. So we highly recommend on Saturday night. There's the Wood Booger Grill has incredible burgers. There's a great little Mexican place. There's the pizza place I mentioned before, and the winery. Rob and Jim and I have been to Norton probably close to a half a dozen times now and haven't had a bad meal yet. So we highly recommend taking advantage of that. Just a couple other notes before we open to questions. This event formally does not have spectators on the hill. We anticipate that people will find their way to at least the start line. There is a tremendous network of trails and old logging roads and stuff that runs around the course. And so we expect that people will probably find their way onto the course. Not onto the course, I'm sorry, into the course area. What we really want to do is make sure that everybody who's curious about this event gets an opportunity to experience it in some way. If that means they get to stand by the start line, great. If that means they show up on your corner station and you feel good about where they are, we can live with that. But we're really trusting and relying on our course workers to keep an eye out for folks that want to spectate. We do believe this event will get to a spectator capacity at some point in time. It just won't be this year. Related to that, we're going to have more foot traffic in our paddock than we probably ever have at any hill climb ever. We are in, honest to God, downtown Main Street, Norton, Virginia. And we have been in the newspaper. We've been on the radio. We're in social media. They all know we're coming. And we may have a lot of people that are really curious about this event that show up in paddock. And so we're going to need to be, number one, great stewards of our sport. People are going to have questions. They're going to learn about who we are and what we do. And number two, we're going to want to have, eyes up or heads up and eyes out, just to make sure that we're watching out for each other's stuff. And I don't expect we'll have any issues with crowd control or this, that, and the other, but we just need to have a heightened level of awareness across the board, whether it's pulling a car out of a trailer and kids walking by, or what we're leaving out while we're going to take a run and that sort of thing. I can't stress enough how wonderful the city of Norton has been. Rob, when did we first go up there? Do you remember?
I believe it was, I think the first time I went was towards the first of the year with Jim. Yeah. And then we went, in end of March?
That sounds right. Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
So they have put this has been put together in a very short period of time. And I just want everyone to understand the city's level of commitment to us. When Rob and Jim and I went up for our last face-to-face, let's make sure we're all on the same page meeting, we walked into the expo center and they had 2 by 2 by 2, a square of banquet tables with 2 chairs at each. And at 10 o'clock, when we said we were going to be there, The only chairs that were empty were the only chair that was empty was the one I hadn't sat down in yet. We had the chief of police, we had the chief of fire, we had chief of emergency services, we had the sheriff, we had the city engineer, we had the city manager. This is a really, really, really big deal to them, and this is a really, really great opportunity for us. Just like Pine Mountain, the timing loops have been put in the ground. Unlike Pine Mountain, we're tapping into the data lines that are already hung on the power poles up the course. So there is no cable to lay. I think that speaks to the level of commitment. I think everybody knows we've never done this before. We've never been there, and they're dropping lines off of the power poles and letting us cut holes in the road to put timing loops in. So this is a pretty big thing. And if you've done hill climbs with us before, you've heard me say this 100 times, and I'll say it one more. Our number one priority as a community, as an event, as a program, is to make sure that we're invited back to Norton to have one of these events again next year. This has been a massive amount of work to get to this point, and it would be real sad to get to Norton, do it one time, and not get invited back. And what is going to make sure that we're invited back is that we're good ambassadors, good stewards of our sport, and that we treat the community, the course, everything around us with respect. And we've done that in Pineville. We've done that at the Dragon, and I have no doubt that we can do it here. But we just need to make sure that we're saying our pleases and thank yous and picking up our trash, and treating all of this like the privilege and the gift that it is. So with that, I am gonna stop talking for a minute. Kathy, as our competition director, do you have anything to add?
I do not. I'm going to be at the top of the hill. What do we have for drivers to know what their times are? Is that where we're going to have the display? Or
I'm going to let Kevin answer that one.
Yes. So when I was there with Rob on Saturday morning, we picked a location. We found a really nice clump of trees about 300 feet past the finish loop, and it will be drivers left, and that's where the time display will be. Right now, I'm still working on the logistics for the actual printout, so I'm not able to say where and how that's going to work just yet, but that is my focus this week.
Well, will it be on Race Monitor?
Yes, everything will be live on Race Monitor. We'll also be live on the SCCA website with Randall.
We have cell service at the top of the hill?
Yeah, we're confident of that. I will be at the hill. I will not be at the bottom.
Okay. My next question, Hayward and all, is for the people who come through our paddock and want to know what the heck is going on. Do we have a way for them to get to the live timing, or without buying a Race Monitor app?
The SCCA page will be free access.
Okay. And how will we direct people to that?
That's a Brad question.
Well, that's why I'm asking them. I mean, are we going to have a scannable code somewhere to direct people to it, or what?
I will look into that. I don't have an answer to that yet.
Okay. Let's see. The announcer will be located where?
The announcer will be at the Expo Center.
Okay, perfect. That ends that. I don't need to ask that question anymore. If everything's on Race Monitor, and Kevin's up top, I'll also bring the iPad, so if people want to look, they can look.
Excellent. Mark Pilson is our overlord of paddock. Mark, do you have anything for folks with load in that you'd like to have them aware of?
Seeing as I haven't actually been to the site yet, I don't at this time. It's been a little crazy on this end, but just if I think most everybody is familiar with Pine Mountain and what we did there and everything that's going to be there. So expect a similar experience. We're gonna wing it the best we can and get everybody as organized as we can and go from there.
Excellent. Brad, anything? Rob, we good?
I believe we are. I believe we are.
Jim's the detail guy, so he gets to go last. Jim gives a thumbs up. All right, so what we're gonna do now, if you are I've never hill climbed before in my PPIC in life, and you have any questions about safety gear, requirements, anything like that, let's just knock those out real quick. Does anybody here have those type of questions? You can put them in the chat, you can raise a hand, or you can just voice them. And while we see if any of those questions surface, yeah, Mr. Pilson?
Yes. So just as an FYI, my car is still in pieces. And if all of my parts get here in time, then I'm maybe assembling the car there on Friday and Saturday possibly. But a quick question. I know in road racing, you are required to have some kind of seat back brace. And I'm most likely going to have the stock seat in the car. Is that going to be acceptable without a brace?
It is.
Thank you.
Let's see, what time do you guys expect to arrive on Friday? So we will open, I'm looking at Mark to see if he nods in the right direction. I believe we're opening paddock load in at 1.
We may even shoot for 12. I plan on being on site. It'll be late on Thursday, but I plan on being on site on Thursday, which means I'll be evaluating paddock options and all of that early Friday morning. So if everybody can wait until noonish, that would be awesome. I know that there will be a few early risers, and so we'll do the best that we can with that.
There is a ton of parking available to us in the vicinity of what I outlined on the paddock. And so if you are going to be bringing a 48-foot stacker and you need the room, we're going to have that for you. We're not going to put you front and center. Our theory is that if you have a 48-foot trailer, you've probably got room for a golf cart. But you don't need to get there early because you've got a big rig. In fact, getting there early with a big rig probably means that we're just going to go ahead and put you further away than we would if you got there at the regular time. Friday evening, we will have registration open, registration tech check-in at the Expo Center, right there in the paddock area for workers and for drivers. If you would like to camp in the Flag Rock Campground, which has 30 amp power for every campsite, tent spaces, pull-in camper spaces, hot showers, we do not have the capacity to reserve spaces there. They're not go online and reserve them. They're first come, first serve. We'll block as many as we can. The city's going to have signage up about the hill climb and kind of encouraging people to find a different campground for the weekend. But if you would like one of those spaces, I recommend getting there as early as you can, and also going directly to the campground and claiming your spot before you come check in and do things like that. Timing will not be done with lights. It is going to be on a transponder. The transponder fee was built into your registration fee. Kevin will have a folding table of flashing yellow boxes ready for everybody on Saturday morning. You'll grab it, throw it on your car, and we'll time from that. To that, Paul asked about hotels. I believe it's a Comfort Inn. We're working on setting that up right now. We have the rooms reserved. We're working on assignments and whatnot. I'll get that along with team assignments out to the workers. So any new driver questions? I want to go over a couple of worker specific things. Going once, going twice. All right. So if you're a driver, if you want to hear what the workers are going to hear, stick around. If you're a driver and you would really like to go get dinner, you can go get dinner. We're going to go over a couple of worker notes before we get out of here. Kevin outlining that transponders will be provided along with the pouch and zip ties And if I know Kevin, he's going to be standing at the parking area on Sunday afternoon with a pair of wire cutters, cutting zip ties off and reclaiming his transponders and pouches. So, all right. So just shifting gears to workers really quick. We have, I'm hesitant to say this out loud because I'm afraid that people will decide they're not necessarily needed and go do something else. We actually have more course workers than we absolutely have to have for this event, which is super cool and super rad because it means that about half the workers will be able to be on a post with somebody else. You will not have to stand by yourself in the woods. So we're really excited about that. This is a really, really cool hill to work. I don't know if you guys saw any of the pictures that I posted in the group, but a ton of the corner stations are elevated at the apex of hairpin corners. There is one where you will stand well past the engagement point on the outside of a corner and watch the back side of the corner, the cars coming through a 90 and a 180 to come to the 180 that you're at. It's just a really, really, really cool hill. If you've never done corner marshaling for a hill climb before, it's a really, really simple equation. And Don will go over all of this in detail, but we have radios and we have flags. And if something happens where you are, you tell everybody on the radio. And if something happens where you're not, you stop the cars with the flag. There's a bit more nuance to it, but it's very easy, very approachable, and a great way to get a really great view of the event. I cannot stress enough that you're going to want to pack the things that will make you comfortable during the event. We will provide you with water, lunches, and Saturday night dinner. It's a great idea to bring a camp chair. It's a great idea to bring bug spray, things of that nature, a hat, sunscreen, whatnot. We have scheduled the event to be fully in the dry, but if that does not come to fruition, rain gear is a really, really, really nice thing to have. One thing that's going to make this hill particularly challenging to manage, and this will be managed by the leads, competition directors, and race control, is that we have an obligation to Virginia DOT to open the road every basically 30 minutes. And there's a script for how we're going to operate that. The good news about that, though, is it means that you are going to have some downtime. You're going to have a chance to sit down, get a drink of water, relax. But we are going to be managing that throughout. Ed asked if there's still rooms available for workers. And Ed, I'm going to tell you real quick that I have Wes on my room list, but I don't have you on it. So if you can let me know if you want a room with Wes, I assume you guys know each other. That would be wonderful to know. Yeah, so workers are not required at a hill climb to wear any specific uniform. If you have whites, you can wear whites, white coveralls. White is a great color to wear because you're easily identifiable. Any color but red is totally 100% fine. Red is discouraged because that's the flag we use to stop uphill traffic. Without Don here to correct me, I think that's the majority of what he would immediately cover. Any questions from workers? We will be getting a ton of information to you guys out this week, specific details of how the event functions and assignments and who your team leads are and things like that. But I just want to kind of give an overview of what we're doing here. We don't need bear spray, Ed. Come on. Come on.
It just makes their poop smell like pepper.
That's right.
You might need a wood booger spray, but I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's different from bear spray, but you know, they do suggest that.
Well, I think wood booger spray is basically, isn't that one of the Axe body spray flavors? I'm not sure. I don't know.
There you go.
How are workers getting to and from their post? Great question. So we're going to have the worker meeting at the finish line or uphill of the finish line. There's a large gravel area where we'll park worker cars. Probably a third of the worker posts have some kind of parking at them. And so we will probably do some carpooling or we'll grab a pickup truck or two and run everybody down. Don has a great system where at the end, at Saturday lunch, everybody, whoever's at turn 1 goes to turn 10 and everybody else moves down 1. And then Sunday morning, you start 1 downhill from where you were. And then Sunday afternoon, you go 1 downhill. So you're going to get a chance over the course of the weekend to see 4 of the 10 flag posts. Craig and I went up and mapped them out and looked at them. Almost everybody is, I think everybody is going to get probably 1 or 2 really technical sections to watch and 1 or 2 really fast sections to get to watch. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a really fun event to marshal. All right, so I'm going to take maybe.
I was just gonna say, I think the fast sections are a lot faster than people believe from watching the video of my slow Fiesta.
Yeah, there is. What makes this hill really interesting is that a tremendous percentage of the elevation gain is in the hairpins. The hairpins, some of them have as many as 15 feet of elevation gain from entry to exit, maybe 20 feet in a couple of cases. And that corner I was talking about before, turn 6, where you're watching a 90, a 180, a 180, and then an acceleration run, that's probably a 50 to 60 foot elevation gain in 1 station. And so the actual straightaways on this hill, Pine Mountain straightaways are pretty, Dragon doesn't have any, Pine Mountains are pretty steep. These straightaways are going to be quick. I do see that Todd is on the call, and I did not give you a chance before. Todd, Todd, do you have anything from the city perspective you'd like to share with this group?
Todd's on mute.
Todd's probably eating dinner at the Wood Booger right now. So if Todd interrupts me, I will let him. So here forward, if you have questions, if you know that you have a special request, whether it be parking or corner assignment or anything of that nature, feel free to email me. I will push it to the appropriate individual to make sure that we get that worked with. I do see that Craig's on the Zoom with us tonight. I want to thank him for coming up and helping with setting up flag stations, and he's going to be managing our radios for the event. Yeah, with that, just kind of want to leave everybody. Yes, sir. Drew.
I want to ask about photography for the event. I registered on the website a couple of weeks ago to photograph the event. Haven't heard anything, if that's going to be acceptable, if it's possible.
Yep, absolutely acceptable and possible. We will get you a media credential when we get there, and I will email you all that information.
Okay, at the Expo Center?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have 4 photographers registered for the event, and what we will ask of the flaggers and the photographers is to work together to make sure that they are in locations that you are mutually comfortable with.
Yeah, I'm an experienced motorsports photographer, so.
Great.
Yeah.
So,
all right, I'll look forward to hearing from you.
okay. So Todd just sent me a text and said that it's just way too loud in the Wood Booger to be able to talk right now, but he did not have any comments at the moment. So, all right. Well, thank you all so much. Parting thought, you get to hear it for 102nd time. These things are a passion project for a lot of us. I think everybody who does them loves them. And we're really, really excited about where this series is going. We have 2 hills right now that we're looking at for 2023 ads that would get this to a 4-hill series. And all of that work is working towards long-term relationships with these towns and hosts and whatnot. And so I really, really can't ask enough and appreciate enough that we all work towards being invited back, that we look out for each other. Everybody can and does and will make mistakes, and that's fine. The difference between making a mistake in a community like this is that somebody is going to help you correct it and clean it up and figure it out and fix it. And so we're not gonna, like I said, pick up our trash. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Smile, kiss the babies, shake the hands. Don't shake the babies. And work really hard to make sure that we get to come back next year and really enjoy Norton. For those of you who have not been there, I just can't stress enough what a cool little town this is. It's the smallest city in the state of Virginia, one of the smallest in the country, and they've built themselves to be ready for us. The expo center, the space that we're going to have our paddock in is fantastic. The hill is amazing, and no, you may not throw the babies, Frodo. It's just going to be a really fun event. So with that, this was recorded. I'll post it up, and so if you came in late, you can catch the beginning. If you have questions, shoot me an email or jump in the group. And we really look forward to seeing everybody in a very few number of days. So y'all have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hayward.
Thanks.